Welcome, everybody. Peace and blessings. Peace. I am IFA Jaminire.
And I am IFA Tegunshe.
And you are tuned in
to the best
podcast
on
the planet Earth. Let's talk IFA.
Ashe.
Ashe wa.
Ashe.
Ekabo. Irelopo.
Irelo.
We pray that everybody is doing well during these times. Life is lifing, you know? Mm-hmm. So, you know, first of all, we want to just start out the show by praying and wishing everybody well. Today's episode is another special episode. Today's topic. Mm-hmm. You want to go ahead and break that down for us, brother? Today's topic.
So today's topic, we are talking about the concept of ALASUWADA.
ALASUWADA.
And the alias of this name is OGUNDA, which is one of the Odus of Nifa. OGUNDA. OSA, ALASUWADA, or ALASUWADA. We're going to be talking about that concept today. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I shall.
So
Bandy, let's break it down real quick. Let's just give a basic meaning of what is ALASUWADA. You know, we'll start with that real quick.
ALASUWADA. You want me to go?
Yeah, brother.
Oh, you want me? So ALASUWADA, like we said, ALASUWADA. The concept of ALASUWADA is basically human beings coming together and working in groups or working in unison or working in unity. ALASUWADA expands further out than just humans working together, but ALASUWADA also goes into depth in how Earth and heaven work together, right? Earth is a marketplace. Heaven is our home, right? So both have to work together in order for nature or the universe to be in harmony, right? Just as another concept of ALASUWADA is equal death, but equal death respecting life. And life respecting equal death. So when equal gives that respect and acknowledgement to life, it helps the spirit to elevate. So those are some of the concepts of ALASUWADA. What does ALASUWADA mean?
So yeah, to add to that, so ALASUWADA is an energy that deals with the fact that people have, you know, our individual destinies. You know, this is also what it is and what it means. Mm-hmm. Even though we have our individual destinies, we work together in groupings as a community.
Yes.
And so it's how our destinies intertwine with each other for the good of a common goal, right? That people might have. Like, for instance, this is taken from, this is just something that we saw on Google on sunspirituality.com. But it says ALASUWADA is composed of 3 words. Asu, multiplication, Iwa, character or destiny, and Ada, something common for all together. Our proficient Yoruba speakers, if there's a better translation or anything like that, feel free to hit us up. We're just going off of some of the research that we found on the Odu and on the concept. So, you know, when you put all 3 of those together, multiplication, character or destiny, something common for all together, right? This particular page says ALASUWADA is the integration of communities to accumulate the goods for a common destiny. It is the Irumole that has the responsibility of multiplying the destinies in groups. In this case, all will be part of a destiny in common in order to order our society. So that's, some of the basic concepts that ALASUWADA is dealing with, as far as that energy.
Right. So ALASUWADA is it's like an Orisha.
Say it's Irumole.
Irumole. I believe ALASUWADA is associated with feminine energy, right? But ALASUWADA, one who helps things to multiply, right? So when we work together towards a common goal, we progress, we evolve. Right? So what Olodumare sent ALASUWADA here to do was for humans. When Abatala created the human, they said, okay, what are we gonna do? Okay, we creating them, but what are they gonna do? So ALASUWADA was sent to represent the unification of human beings. And this is how communities are formed. This is how villages become cities. This is how cities become nations. It's through the concept of ALASUWADA, us working together. So I would say on this level, if, for African people, that we have to get together, we have to work more closely together. Because there's has been things done for us not to trust each other. So we have to heal from that. And I think by us honoring this Odu, Osagunda, ALASUWADA, and we take on that concept as a village, as a community, because we got a lot of communities and we all do the same thing. We are all in the culture.
No, we don't have no communities. We got a lot of elays.
Well, a lot of elays.
I just had to,
Okay, so we say
it's
elays.
a difference between a real community and
Okay, so we have a lot of elays, right? Like the owl says, right? We have a lot of elays, but the elays have to become villages and towns, and then from there, the villages and the towns become cities.
And before that, it's got to be a community.
Cities.
It's got to turn into a real community, and then everything else you said.
So how you do that is, as we stated on some of the podcasts, is if some of the elays came together, and like I said, if you got a large following, I got a large following of men and women, you got a large following of men and women, then my elay and your elay can merge, and families can be born out of that. And we are all on the same concept.
Like, let's say my son marries your daughter.
Yeah, that's a form of ALASUWADA, right? That's making a family multiply, right? The forest becomes a jungle, right? Multiplying. ALASUWADA is things multiplying in order to work towards a common goal. So if we're all working towards the elevation of Isheshe.
I say why.
Right? Isheshe should not be separated, because then it's not Isheshe.
Right.
Why are we calling it Isheshe and then I don't mess with you and you don't mess? No, we have to embrace the Orisha, the Irumale, ALASUWADA, so then we can start forming
around the common goal.
Right. And this is how we multiply. This is how the economics begin to multiply. This is how we have more children. This is how we begin to expand and buy more land, right? And organize and be on the same goal. Everybody is not going to get along. That's the other side of ALASUWADA. You got to deal. ALASUWADA also means learning how to deal with confrontation and conflict.
Right.
right? Because it's the opposite. Everything ain't gonna go smooth. Everybody ain't gonna get along. But this is how rules and laws are brought. Now, ALASUWADA is multiplying and creating rules and laws within these groups to keep people in harmony with the master plan, whatever that master plan is.
Yeah, because we get upset, and you know that conflict that you just mentioned, that'll stop the whole train. The whole train just go off the tracks because you know that because people can't get over conflict, and you know we don't communicate well with each other. We don't have conflict resolution. People get in their feelings, so it's easier to just not deal with somebody. And sometimes it come down to the point where you don't deal with that person on that level. But when it comes to the communal level, where we all have to come together and do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3, then we expect to see all people there because it's not about your little whatever you got going on with her. Like y'all can just we can all work together here. You don't have to be close to each other or whatever. As long as we out here working for the common good, all that takes a back seat because there's something more important, which is the group, right? And, you know, that's one of the other concepts of ALASUWADA is about groupings and organization. The organization that it takes to, you know, run a family, to establish a community and maintain a community and have it be sustainable. It's easy to start something. That's not the hard part.
Right.
The hard part is the sustainability, is keeping it going. What is the longevity and the quality of it?
And you need hands in order to maintain it.
Many hands make the work light. You
can't build a house and then one person is working trying to maintain that house. No, it has to be either two people or a group of people to help keep the maintenance of that house up. You know, and for that was taken away from African people during the transatlantic slave trade. All of those things was put in place when they talk about the Willie Lynch system. You know, the concept was broken. It separated us so that we won't develop. So now a lot of us is just, I want to do this on my own, or there's a lack of trust. You know what I mean? And so
that's a plague in our community.
It's a plague. So
you know, lack of trust.
We're not gonna multiply. We're gonna decrease. If we don't embrace the concept of ALASUWADA. You know, the Mexicans do it. Everybody talk about the Mexicans, but they're a perfect example of the concept of ALASUWADA. You know what I mean? That must be their Odu. OGUNDA must be their Odu. Because they do it like the ants. Not the Odu. They do it well. A perfect concept of ALASUWADA. Look at the ants. Look at the bees. Perfect example. So this is what we supposed to be mimicking. We supposed to mimic nature and how nature works together. Human beings got, but see the problem, Olodumare put all of us here, all different races here together so that we know how to communicate with each other. Right? So then I won't come over to your city and say, I don't like the way you run your city, I'm gonna come take it over.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, we supposed to be doing business together. Don't worry about what's going on internally with my thing.
Internal affairs.
Right. Like, you know, that's what, you know, it's like we have to learn communication is important. I think that's why I always say the energy of a shoe is important because there are many Eshu. Eshu is not the only one that takes the Yabba. You know, there's his workers.
Yeah, the energies that are under Eshu that do, you know, different things.
Yeah. You know, so Eshu has his crew of other aspects of Eshu that does, you know, he just checks and makes sure it's done right before it go. You know, so every living thing on this planet has a group that it belongs to. And they work together to keep their concepts in order.
So ALASUWADA is also talking about the groupings of things like Baba just mentioned, like the insects, you know, the animals, the the fish, the aquatic creatures, you know, even humans, even down to everything, anything that you can attribute as some type of grouping or some type of organization. That's ALASUWADA that's over that, because you have to have order in order to run a community or a town or a village or a kingdom or a nation or whatever. And this is the organizational structure and the spirit of everyone working together to achieve a common goal. This is what we talk about up here, you know, on a regular, but this is just the actual kind of the Yoruba expression or word for it or concept of what we talk about a lot, right? Which is where we need to move to, away from, you know, everybody's isolated in their own elays to us coming together and doing some powerful things together. But we can still recognize each other's differences. I don't have to try to persuade you to do it my way or vice versa or none of that. You know, we just got to be more mature, you know, and come together and be more focused on what it is we really came here to do. What are we supposed to be doing, you know?
And so ALASUWADA, another concept of ALASUWADA is working together in groups, but at the same time, respecting each other's personal destinies.
Benny.
ALASUWADA OGUNDA says, if my Ori is good, may it reach 200 people. If my Ori is good, may it touch 200 people. Right? If my Ori is good, may it touch 200 people. So a good head is always an Ori that wants to reach out and socialize and connect.
And touch meaning bless.
Bless.
And also help, because we're all, when you slacking on your destiny, it's not just you that's in that equation, because there are other people that you're supposed to be blessing, but because you're not where you're supposed to be at yet, you're not able to do that. You know, so that the key or the goal is to try to get to that point where once you get blessed, it just helps you to be more of a blessing to the people that you're supposed to touch if you have a good Ori.
Right. And this is part of our culture as Omo Karojive people.
Daniel.
Another concept of ALASUWADA, you know, well, another concept of ALASUWADA is polygamy. Right? Now, that's kind of a hot topic when it's spoken.
We got to do a whole show on that.
Right. But ALASUWADA is another concept. A concept of ALASUWADA is polygamy. When it's done right, when it's done respectfully, right? When it's done traditionally, what does that do? Because we know polygamy is part of our culture, but it's a perfect concept of ALASUWADA because it's the multiplication of the family. It establishes the foundation, the legacy, the long-term goals of that family. That's what polygamy is designed for in Yoruba culture. But it's not for everybody.
Benny.
OSA Meiji is one of the Odus that says polygamy may not be for a man. Oyeku Meiji is another one. And there's other Odus, there's many other Odus that says that recommends to do that. Right. So it's not for just because you're in Yoruba culture that, okay, I'm in Yoruba culture, I have polygamy. No, you gotta have some type of resources. You know, in order to do that. But if IFA says it's not for you, then it's not for you.
Right.
Right? IFA knows if it's for you because then they know you can handle it.
That's it. Or if it's in your destiny. For my brothers,
IFA was there. If it's for your destiny.
Yeah, Rumila was there when you chose your destiny, and that so Rumila knows the fate and the destiny that every thing, living, non-living thing, whatever, has. So, you know, that's why we check in with IFA to say, okay, is
this the move for me? Because we know, what is it we call it, monogamous marriage? Well, a man may have the woman And Ifa may say, yes, this is a woman for you, but this is the only woman for you, right? And so Ifa knows that this woman has the capability of handling what she needs to give him.
Facts.
And vice versa. You know, ALASUWADA. That's the concept of ALASUWADA. You know, marriage is supposed to be about reproduction.
I say.
Reproduction
and production.
And production.
Of everybody, you know, producing something. Crops, you know, food, you know, business, whatever it is, whatever they into, you know, everybody should be contributing their own way based on their destiny.
Right.
On what they're supposed to be doing, and then everybody works together. Because it's families that almost are like a community. You know, some large families, they're almost a community just within that one family. They make up a small, you know, community. So we gotta to be more community minded and more focused towards, you know, what are our goals. And
as African people,
you know, what are we trying to do?
Well, first of all, you know, what I think we should do is we got the concept, because you got to understand, and we all have to understand that it's only been 50, 60 years, or maybe 100 years since African people have begun to become more conscious of who they are, right? That's not a long time.
No, it's not.
Right? So the concept of having these Orisha Iles, that's what that was designed for. But the Orisha Iles was supposed to become a village, right? And then the village become a town. The town becomes a nation.
You're supposed to live through the culture, totally.
Right. So all of the Iles all over the world who practice Orisha are supposed to have some type of networking with each other somehow, where we all know about each other,
right? And
we begin to exchange with each other.
Unless you just want to hide off somewhere in the corner and just be over here because you know you ain't doing right.
Right.
Those are the, you know,
those are
that's
the ones,
a different thing.
Right, but those are the ones, the people who take themselves away from community.
That's when you know something ain't right.
They're trouble.
Yeah.
They're trouble.
And we talking about community of people that got sense. Let's just keep it plain, because it's a lot of people out here that, you know, common sense is not common everywhere. So people with good sense, with a good Ori, kind of know, you know what I'm saying, will be together kind of for the most part. And it might be a few people around that ain't right, but for the most part, people with good Oris are going to gather and be, you know, together, you know. And so another part, OSA OGUNDA, that talks about the concept of ALASUWADA, talks about communal life. It was the basics of ethics, morals, values, and iwapwele, good character, iwarere, you know, gentle character and good character. It says this is the lifestyle that Olodumare implores us to learn to live in harmony with everything that surrounds them, both animate and inanimate. It is only through working together, applying the teachings of ALASUWADA, and imbibing the virtues of good character and gentle character will we all achieve and maintain balance here in the world, not only with our individual destiny, but with those of our families, community, nation, and the world. So that's the concept that we're talking about here. And this is something that has to be, I think,
this is what he
driven home,
But this is what he is supposed to be vibrating towards.
Vibrating, right.
This is what when we call ourselves Isheshe,
doing Oshe,
traditionalists.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, so Oshe, right. Everybody do Oshe Ifa.
That's the spiritual
on that
part.
day. That's the spiritual part. But where does
We got Olokun, you got Ajay. How do we import the rest of the...
Right. But if we're all doing Osha on the same day, all over the world, when it's Osha Ifa, everybody is... Some people may be breaking cola nut to their Ifa. Some people may be throwing a coconut OBs. Some people might be throwing kavi shit. However they doing it, they're still going, everybody is going, doing Osha Ifa.
Right.
So that should be, that energy should be shifting something.
Towards, right, exactly.
It needs to be a shift. If all of these prayers on Osha Ifa,
right.
Osha Abatala, Osha Ogun, Osha Shango, and so forth. If everybody is praying
synchronized in a way, we ain't gonna be all saying the same prayers, but if we know that, you know, we have certain things in common that we're moving towards, then we can kind of, you know, agree under a generality, like under an umbrella. Okay,
right.
This is the direction we move in.
So it needs to be something done where it should be written that, okay, on Osha Ifa, you can say whatever other prayer you want to say, but then this one prayer, everybody is going to say. And it's going to be towards the energy of ALASUWADA.
I say, some common goal.
Right. ALASUWADA Enya, like human... The grouping of the human race coming together to keep this bubble together that we live in, this marketplace that we live in together, or human beings being able to learn how to communicate with each other and respecting each other's way of life.
Yeah, respecting each other's way of life, respecting our differences. Yeah, resolving conflict and issues. That's what we kind of really struggle at.
So you don't have to have an atomic bomb that's going to wipe out half the planet because that nation don't agree with you. Yeah. So you're going to annihilate them from the planet Earth.
That's not ALASUWADA.
Because simply you can't go and talk peacefully and say, okay, well, can we resolve these things in a peaceful manner? We don't have to annihilate half the planet.
Oh, yeah.
We ain't got to build something that's going to annihilate half the planet. You know what I'm saying? No, seriously. Like, that's something to think about. Like, what kind of Ajogun is that? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's serious. Because you just can't put a little honey on your tongue and then go over there and speak and resolve it. It's
money
easy.
And power and greed, you know? But you just heard it say right there, community, the morals, the ethics, the values, like these are all the things that we talk about that have to be taught through institutions. It can't be, you know, we need more rites of passage programs. We need more of our own schools. So speaking of that, we got some announcements we're going to be making soon here in the Charlotte area with the Rites of Passage program opening up for the young men. And and we also have something else special that's going to be coming up soon from LetsTalkIFA Academy. So we got a 7-week program that's coming out for, you know, our people that are kind of more on the beginner to 5-10 year mark. You know, it's a program.
What that means?
Just to cover a lot of things.
Academy.
Yeah, LetsTalkIFA Academy.
Wow, that sounds like a school to me.
I say, we here to build institutions and teach and learn and grow and elevate. You know, through spirituality, through business, through all of the different art channels and avenues, culture, and beautiful expressions in life, you know,
health.
Yeah. So there'll be more details on that soon. We'll be making an announcement on that soon. But everything that we do is, you know, in the spirit and the energy of ALASUWADA.
ALASUWADA, OSA, OGUNDA.
Yeah. As a priest, as a leader in the community, you know, as a chief, as, you know, whatever, everybody has to have that mindset of humility. You know, I'm a servant, you know, to an extent. Like, I'm not a slave, but I'm a servant to, you know, people that are trying to get guidance and looking for help that are out of problems and situations they can't get out of. And then, you know, when we ourselves, we run into those same problems, and we go through the same process that we take everybody else through when we get perplexed with certain situations where we need to do, you know, die fire and do sacrifice, and we, you know, things happen to us as well as priests. Just being a priest or being initiated or whatever, you know, like we said before, it doesn't mean that stuff's not gonna happen. Stuff's gonna happen, but it's just how you handle it, and then, you know, your being in balance spiritually will just help you navigate the positive side of that, whatever you got to deal with. But you still got to deal with stuff, and you're going to be tested.
Benny.
You know?
It's just the truth.
And the higher you go, a lot of times the harder those tests get, because that's just how it is, right? In school, to get your test to get your PhD is not going to be the same as the test you took to get your master's. And the master's is different from the bachelor's.
You know, when I was growing up in Oyechunji, one of our elders, Ibara Charun, Bale Oyewole, Bale Oyewole,
Ogunye Moye.
Ashe. Yeah, Bale Oyewole, he used to always, you know, he was over the men's society at one time. And he used to pull all the young men together. And he taught us about the concept of ALASUWADA, of being in a group. And one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. So we had to be on each other. We had to check each other.
Couldn't let nobody be a rotten apple.
Right. Couldn't let nobody be a rotten apple, because if that one was out of line and had to get punished, whatever the punishment was, everybody was punished. You know, so it helped us to become more of a group and more brothers, because we had to look out for them. We had to check each other. Like, I'm not gonna get in trouble over you. You better, you know, you better get that together, because I'm not getting. You got to tighten up. So we tightened each other up. You know what I mean? And so that helped us to be better. The person who have been out of line, you know, we had to like check them. You know, and so that kind of taught us to always keep each other and build each other up. Even when we see one of us getting out of line or out of care, I go, wait a minute, you don't have, you know what I mean? And talk to each other and keep each other in alignment.
Benny.
You know,
accountability.
One rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. We don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, ALASUWADA comes in many forms. It comes in the form of you have one man, and then that man multiplies into 200,000 men. And then they communicate, right? You have ALASUWADA Obirin, where you have one female, but then those women multiply, but then they have to learn to get along with each other.
Get along with each other and work together. Because these are just some of the things that we don't see. You know, we don't see a lot of our women kind of working together sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that not as much as we should.
I don't say that the men is any better, because we do have trouble, but we do know that men do, when they get together, it's something that brings us together. Yeah. And so the Obirin in the world, whether you in group or you in the Orisha Ile, you know, the women of the culture I'm going to speak about, you know, come together and see how y'all can vibrate on each other's frequency and get some things going. Because the women, I always say the women are the ones that make the culture. They the ones that represent the refinement and the evolving of the culture. It's the women.
Yeah, give birth to the whole nation.
If the women are not together, the nation ain't going nowhere. I don't care how many odus you can chant. I don't care how many houses you can build. I don't care how many.
Facts.
We're not going to evolve if the women of the culture, if they can't work together.
True.
The men can come together and do everything, but it's not going to have any effect if the female energy is not in harmony with the male. That's ALASUWADA.
Or the female energy, they're not in sync with themselves.
First.
Right.
Right? So this is what ALASUWADA is for, because naturally everything we do is for the women. If you really look at it.
Yeah.
Everything, nations are built for the women to be able to educate the children and raise the children and have all of the things that they need. The man, the male provides everything that the woman needs so that she can mold and shape the family, the culture, the tradition. Our job is to make sure she has access to it, you know? And that's not saying, I'm not saying that a man got to give women money all the time so she can go get this, but if a man gives the woman the money, she has to be able to have that money and say, okay, I'm going to multiply this money. I'm going to follow the ALASUWADA concept. I'm going to take this $100 and turn it into $5. You know what I mean? Like we can't, if the men are not working together, whatever the women are doing in unison is not going to have that.
Yeah.
So as African men and African women, like, again, I always say the marriage rate in our communities is so low. It's ridiculous. 1 year and you divorce now.
Marriage and
not even
the divorce rate
now.
And the single parent household.
Right.
You know.
The concept of ALASUWADA has separated her.
Yeah, it's been decimated.
It's been decimated. So how do we bring this together? OGUNDA. This Odu also talks about working together for change. We need a change now, right? So we have to work together in harmony.
I say.
In order to see the change, in order for us to evolve. This is one of the interpretations of OGUNDA or ALASUWADA, you know, not walking alone in the world.
Yeah.
Trying to do everything on your own.
Yeah.
That's the negative or the Ayewo side of OGUNDA.
Right.
Is like, I'm going to do this all by myself. I don't need nobody to help. Yeah. No, you're supposed to put people to work.
Yeah. That's the concept of many hands make the work light. Is part of one of the concepts from this Odu and this Irumole, this energy, this concept that's called ALASUWADA. You know, that is part of it. You know, we don't have to struggle and strain, and we can just get a few people to help out, and we all got a common goal. Then it just makes things that much easier. You know,
with more hands, you can get the job done.
Get it done. We don't have to wear ourselves out
trying to build a house alone. Should nobody have to build a house alone?
The perfect example of that is Habitat for Humanity. Like how they just get a bunch of people to show up and then they build a house in like 2 days or whatever, a day. It's crazy.
I used to do building inspection work when I was in Osceola County, Florida. And I used to always pull up on the site. And I used to pull up on the site of the Mexicans and just sit in my truck and watch them. I mean, they be doing everything. They have a crew grilling while the other guys is on the roof putting the building up. They have another crew doing the framing work. You got 4 people over there on the grill. You know what I mean? They take a break from cooking. That crew go and eat. While the people who was cooking, they going right. They got a system on how they work, just like the ants. They got a system. They don't, they got a system. You take a break, go put the burgers on the grill, get the beer. They do it, and they have it organized, and then they women be out there with them too.
Yeah,
on the roof. Like I used to sit and watch them and was just amazed. You know what I mean? And then it's like ALASUWADA. They
out there getting it.
They getting it. You know, so it's working together. This is the concept.
Yeah, so
this is the concept. African people all over the world. Yoruba. If you call yourself a Yoruba, Omo Karojire,
or Jire,
Omo Duduwa,
Omo Luabi.
All of those things we just called, you know, has the concept of ALASUWADA in it. You know?
And everything that you have to deal with within that concept, when you have these organizations and these groupings and you talking about families, communities, and nations and all that, you got mental illness, you got physical illnesses, you got, you know, all different types of, like you said, personalities and dispositions and attitudes. And so we have to find a way to work together so that the smaller things
have attention.
And so that so they get dealt with, so that the smaller things aren't left to grow bigger and then overtake the thing that's supposed to be the big thing.
So you need,
we talking about Iwori Bugbe now. Like we have to like have systems in place where no little beef or no whatever argument or whatever can affect the system of what we're doing, the business, the this and the that.
Right. So you need people in groups to work with the mentally ill. You need departments that's going to keep that in check.
Yeah.
What we seeing in the world now, they letting people out the crazy, huh?
Yeah, they are. They don't have nowhere for them to go. They can't lock them up. They won't, you know, keep them there and give them really the help they need. They just give up on them and throw them back out to their family. And I think there's some sense of liability there, you know, where that happens and then something bad happens where we tried 2 or 3 times to bring this person in here for help and you keep letting them go.
Right.
Because you can't, okay, so if you can't help them, how are we supposed to help them? I mean, you supposed to be the professional, the trained, you know, we supposed to, this what we supposed to do, right? We supposed to bring them here for help. And then 2 days later, you turn them loose, like.
Because they don't have nothing.
They don't have no insurance. They don't have no money.
So you see, but this is where the I don't even want to say human no more because it's like, what do that word mean? But this is where, anyway, that's something else to talk about. But if you don't have the proper facilities to house these people, then there's a problem.
To house them, to help them. The system here is broken. They don't know anything about ALASUWADA over here. It's all about capitalism. And whatever makes money goes. That is the prime focus. And, you know, over here, it's all right because you can do a lot of things here that you can't do in other countries and open businesses and make money. And that part of it's great. But the part of it that's not great is the bad character, the iwabuburu, the bad character and the negative energy that is behind a lot of most of the wealth that's been created in this nation.
Yeah, I think people in this, I'll say, you know, and I'm not saying everybody in this country, but I think this country here, what it stands for and what it represents, it turns people into spoiled brats.
It turn you out.
Right?
Turn you upside down.
Right. So a spoiled person becomes what? Onto themselves. They want everything for themselves. Then they start to say, I can do it on my own. I make $100,000.
The individual,
I don't need you.
The individual, you know, individualism.
I make $100,000 a year. I don't need you. What do I need you for?
Right.
You know what I mean? That starts to happen. Greed.
Yeah. Ego.
You know, fast food came about. It's an illusion. Fast food came about and people started just getting things quick.
It should be illegal. The ultra-processed foods is killing everybody, giving everybody cancer and everything else. But, you know, that's a whole different, that's a whole nother thing.
But the concept of a farm is a perfect example of ALASUWADA because the farm multiplies. You have a farm of watermelons. You got a whole group of watermelons. And then the concept of I'll give you 20 of my watermelons for 20 of your mangoes
whatever
or
that
whatever.
come out to be, yeah.
You know what I mean? People start trading with each other. That whole concept is gone.
Yeah.
Because when you have a nation that's just about capitalism, that's focused so much on capitalism, it starts to take away from human beings being in harmony with each other and sharing with each other. You know what I mean? The art of giving and receiving. You know what I mean? But because of things, people can get things so quick now and so easy. You know what I mean? It's like people don't depend on each other too much. You know what I mean? So the whole concept of a spoiled child, go back to being spoiled. When you have a country of people who spoil, because if you look at this, look at every person from another country that come over here. What do? When they come over here, they go find their own people. Oh, the Ethiopians are in D.C.? Yeah. Okay, they fly from Ethiopia. They get
part of the community.
Become part of their community.
The church or the whatever it is.
Right.
They got their community now.
Come around their people.
Yeah.
Over here, they don't do that. It has that separation thing, especially in the environments where it's tough. You know what I mean? People is just snatching and grabbing.
Everybody's competing.
Everybody's competing.
Competition with each other on everything.
Right. But I don't think that's everybody because it's some people who form groups.
It's just too many
places, right?
Yeah, it ain't everybody.
It's not everybody. However, we see how things are moving now. We look at the generation of youth now. You know what I mean? And it's like they're not being taught these things.
No.
You know what I mean?
And that's why this school is so important. This Rites of Passage program is so important. This LetsTalkIFA Academy. First program is going to be so important and very impactful for, on people's lives. We have to duplicate ourselves and multiply ourselves through these programs and these, academies that we're going to be setting up, bringing people through so that people are getting the right information and learning and getting taught right and just having a positive experience with this culture. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to be taught, has to be a school, it has to be institutionalized, it has to be a system. Otherwise, like our elder John Henry Clark said by Ratoron, what are we doing? If we're not using it for that, then, I would highly suggest for those of maybe some of the younger listeners or even our older listeners that maybe don't know some of these people to understand some of these concepts of where we're coming from. Your Dr. John Henry Clark, your Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, your Naeem Akbar, your Dr. Delbert Blair, your, did I say Anthony Browder, Muada Ashby, what's our brother that does the tours in Egypt, Ashra Kwesi, our sisters, Ibarato Room. What was our sister name that taught at Howard? Come on, man. Her name is escaping me right now. I'm tripping. Dr. Francis Cress Welsin. Ibarato Room. All these people, if you don't know them, go research them. It's free now. We used to have to pay for VCR tapes and DVDs when they came out per lecture. To watch it. Now you can go pull up all this stuff on YouTube. Please go pull it up so you can understand the philosophy in the blueprint behind, you know,
Dr. Neely Fuller,
Pan-Africanism, Marcus Garvey, Dr. Neely Fuller, behind the history, behind, you know, so you can understand where we are now. You have a better understanding of where we are now. Once you, Dr. Claude Anderson, that's still here, and so many others, so that you have the lens that you're looking at things through, that Pan-African, Black nationalist, grassroots, you know, that whole
the movement.
Yeah, the pure in its purest essence, you know, that movement, what it stood for, which is what it stood for is our own independence, which is what we had before integration. We had our own towns. We were doing our thing.
We was practicing ALASUWADA.
ALASUWADA. We had to go back to that, you know. We had our own everything, and we need to kind of get back to that. We can mingle and fraternize and do whatever we want with whoever, but as a people, we got to have our stuff together, and we got to deal with people differently, because you see, we on the bottom, we getting the short end of the stick. You know,
but we still, you know, some of our people was like, when we got to get the minds of our youth back.
Yeah,
we got to take our youth back,
because that's the key.
Numbers,
right?
That's numbers. That's just we need,
and
those
that's the
numbers.
best investment in our time too.
Yeah,
because while they still young, the more you know, adults when they get older, it's a little tough.
But it's too much distraction, and we losing our youth.
Yeah, Shay.
We losing our youth because of too much distractions. And that's, you know, we know where that's coming from. That social media thing. You know, they got these phones and everything. It's
might have to name that the Rites of Passage program here. ALASUWADA.
Yeah, ALASUWADA.
Yeah, Rites of Passage.
Rites of Passage.
Solid. Look out.
ALASUWADA, Rites of Passage.
Yeah, we on it. So anyway, my brother, it's been a beautiful episode. We pray that y'all have learned something or gained some type of insight or knowledge or some positive energy from this conversation on the great energy Irumole of ALASUWADA. Ashe. Peace and blessings to y'all. We pray that y'all stay well.
Ashe.
Until we see you again, I am AWOIFA Jaminire.
And I am AWOIFA Tegunshe.
And you are tuned into
the best
podcast
on
the planet.
Let's
Talk IFA.
Ashe.
Odabo. Ireo. Irebobo. Irelopolopo. Agbo ato asuri bori wofun. Ashe.
Ashe.